everyone. Today we are pleased to welcome Asma Sheikh, co-founder and managing director at Enthrall.ai, where she is building agentic AI solutions focused on talent transformation and creating role-ready workforces. She's a certified professional in learning and performance from ASTD and a regular speaker at Industry Forum, where she shares on-ground insights from her work with HR and business leaders. With deep experience in HR strategy, digital transformation, and workforce innovation, Asma works at the intersection of people and intelligent technology. She is closely involved in deploying agentic AI in talent and HR environments. In today's conversation, we will explore a question many professionals are asking. Is agentic AI taking away humans from HR, or is it redefining how HR creates value? Welcome, Asma. To begin, how would you explain agentic AI in simple terms of HR professionals who are still trying to understand it?
So first of all, Trupti, thank you so much for inviting me here to share my two bits on agentic AI. If I had to say what agentic AI is, I think it's kind of a mini me. Of course, it cannot completely replace me, but it is something which will guide me, help me in making decisions better, and I would say reducing the cycle of that decision making. So in a way, I think it's a very powerful tool that I have. In our parlance, come from the learning industry, and we have a learning SaaS platform. So if I look at it in our parlance, I would say when I'm looking at skilling people in a normal context, when I look at AI, I would have to go and build content. I would have to go here. I would have to identify what are the skill gaps for people, and then I would have to define, okay, now as per these skill gaps, these are the roles, or these are the I would say identified courses that the learner has to do. Now, all of this, while I would still use AI to identify the gaps, the AI to recommend the courses, I still have to do it manually, right? Whereas in case of agentic AI, what it's going to do is it's going to do all of these tasks for me. So what it would do actually is go and look at a role itself. It would identify the gaps, it would nudge the learner, it would suggest what are the courses to do. And at the end of it, I would have to just look at it and supervise and ensure that it's going on the right path. So in a way, it's reducing my role of doing the manual tasks and helping me actually think more on a strategic level. I hope we have covered it.
Yes, you've covered it, and I'm very excited to hear the whole conversation because I see both the topics, agentic AI and talent skills. These are the hot selling topics. In the whole AI summit, everybody was talking about. So my next question is, why do you think is agentic AI suddenly becoming such a big topic in HR conversations?
I think in the era that we are in today, the whole role of HR is changed completely. Earlier, what was HR? It was more of understanding people issues, recruiting people, and then maybe to a certain extent ensuring they are trained. Today, it's all outcome based. It's all about building the efficiencies of the organization, ensuring that people are not only ready to do their tasks, but they're able to give the output that is required by the organization. So my responsibility doesn't just end at recruiting people. My responsibility actually starts from recruiting people, and it ends where these people are able to perform and build the ROI for the company. So that's where I think agentic AI has suddenly become important because costs are rising, teams are shrinking. You're looking at doing more with lesser people today, and that's where I think having an agentic AI like a personal assistant to guide me, help me with some of these tasks is going to make a big difference. So today, everything is about performance and outcome based. Earlier, it was only about how many training hours have I completed. Again, I'm going into the parlance of learning because I think that's the domain of expertise that I come from. So how many learning hours have I completed? How many trainings have been conducted in the organization? But today, that's not the case. Today, what's the skill gap index in the organization? I have this project coming up. What's my competency looking like? Where do I have people well trained? Which department? Which location? Now, this is where agentic AI is going to come handy, because I don't have to do a lot of stuff manually. It's going to help me do all of these things and help make proper decisions from a structuring perspective, and of course from a recruitment perspective also.
So I hear a shift here, Asma. I mean, do you really believe HR teams are fully prepared for this shift towards, more autonomous AI systems?
Uh, Coming to think of it, I think we're getting there. I wouldn't say we are completely prepared or, already out there. It also depends on the organization. Today, a lot of the enterprises are completely moving towards it. And if I have to look at, there are two aspects to it. One is data. I think the latest currency, one currency we say today's currency is skills, the other currency is right data. Unless I have the right data, I have the access to the right data, I'm not going to be able to move anywhere. So whatever agentic AI, it's kind of garbage in, garbage out. So even if I have agentic AI, I have to have it work on the right data point sets. So that's the other is the infrastructure, the tools that I have access to. So I think we are working with a lot of large organizations today, enterprise customers in the IT domain, in pharma domain and all. And what they are actually doing is smartly looking at AI not just for namesake, but actually building that infrastructure, ensuring people are up to speed in terms of understanding how it's going to help them get the next level out of AI. So while I say, are we ready for it? I think we are, reaching that milestone where we are building the infrastructure, we are getting the data in place. And then I think with the right training, with the right governance, we should be able to reach and, do much more with agentic AI.
Yeah, so it's kind of a journey, because I remember that I started in 2009, and that time the data used to be a very big thing. Now, with the AI, with a lot of agentic things, things have become exciting, but at the same time, people are facing challenges to adapt it. So let's talk about a little bit more human versus machine in this HR era. Is agentic AI actually taking away human roles in HR, or is that fear exaggerations?
So I think it's an exaggeration, definitely. It's about how you look at it, right? The glass is half empty or glass is half full. It's a perspective. So definitely the administrative roles, they're going to be shifting away. And I think it's high time we did that, right? Using the right tools, using the right capability that we have to reach to the next level. So like I said earlier, the role of the HR itself is shifting. What is expected out of HR is itself shifting. And that's the reason I think that we have to ensure that we are ready and capable for that role. And that's where the entire shift comes from, is administrative tasks, like what I talked about, measuring how many trainings are happening, or how many people are logging into the platform. That's gone. Now I have to derive insights from the data and use that data properly. So today I have to look at, okay, what is the next need, or what is the next strategic milestone that the organization is looking at? What are the business goals that we are looking at? And there, if I need my HR to be capable to handle that, I think what they are actually looking at is that having agentic AI tools that can help them do that. So if I just sit at the level where, okay, I'm working on Excel sheets and I'm looking at, okay, how many people did that, or how many people have completed this, I'm not going to be able to get to the next step. And I think those roles are going to be out of the picture. But if I'm going to say, okay, you know what, AI is going to be my assistant, and it's going to help me identify and improve the efficiency and productivity here and transform the entire workplace, then yes, definitely it's going to be helpful.
So Asma, let's dig a little bit deeper, and I would like to ask you two questions. One is that which HR functions are most likely to be influenced or automated by agentic AI? Second, reskilling is really helping, because we are all talking about reskilling.
I think it's going to be more of the manual reporting functions, the administrative functions, and I'll come with a slightly different take on this. Remember the era where we would actually manually log in people leaves and attendances, payrolls, people would come, the timings, etc. The HRIS systems came into the picture and everything got automated, right? Then we look at, applicants joining the organization. The entire applicant tracking system came into the picture. And again, the manual work went away. Now, what roles replace this? I would say, the roles which are the very low or base level roles, like coordinators, people who do some of these administrative tasks. And I think that gives the HR folks a level to grow in the organization, to do more. And that's where exactly, like I said earlier also, these are the tools which are going to help us to get to the next level. So the entry level roles are the roles which are going to be completely, hopefully, replaced. And I think it gives rise to people skilling themselves, since you asked me whether skilling is going to help, absolutely, on how to use these agentic AI tools. And I said earlier also, a strategic mind shift, that a function or a role of AI, HR is not just recruitment and just, I would say taking care of people's appraisals, but it's a next level thing where you're looking at ensuring that the efficiency of the organization is built and people are able to do their jobs better.
My next question is related to what you have already answered. That where do you believe human judgment will always remain irreplaceable in HR? So if you can answer in just one line, because you've already answered a bit of it, but in one line, if you want to tell something to me or add.
Yeah, so I would say that, while human judgment will always will be irreplaceable, not because AI is not able to do certain things, but I think certain decisions still remain with human beings. And I talk about, ethics, trust, context, consequence. So, sensitive employee decisions or sensitive employee topics like your performance appraisal. I cannot have an AI, even though there are AI agentic bots who could do the performance appraisal. It's not going to work. In a human, I think what makes us human is the emotions, the EQ, I would say. And I cannot delegate that to an agentic AI. While I can use the help of agentic AI to give me the data of, how the person's performance throughout the year has been, how the person's growth has been. However, when the entire process comes to it, I still need the human element to handle it sensitively, to manage sensitively. So that, I think, there are various other factors also, the cultural part of it, the, ethics part of it. While I have tools to do it, I think the governance is still always going to be there. So, in the beginning, I mentioned one part of it, data being very critical, garbage in and garbage out. So if we don't have the relevant data, the right data, and there again, a human supervision is very much required to ensure that right amount of information is there. System supervision is important from a human level, because I think the decision-making skills are still at the human level. And at the end of it, if I have to sum it up, I would say, while the data is going to give me, or the AI is going to give me the insights, the information, decision making still is there. The future planning is still in my hands. So that's where the human element will always come into the picture.
When we are talking a lot about data and AI or agentic AI, do you see a risk of HR becoming too transactional if AI handles too many decisions?
Not really. I think I just kind of partially answered that question in the previous one, because, like I said, it cannot be transactional. I would say transactional is the data that the AI is providing you, but there's always going to be a human touch to it. And I'll give you a simple example. At Enthrall, we do this entire role play simulation part of it, where the AI persona can become a customer, or the AI persona can become a coach to that matter. And while I'm working with this, it's at the end of it, even if it's 98% accuracy, that emotional connect is not going to happen with the AI. So today, from a personal level, however effective the AI is to give me guidance on technical aspects, like, okay, how can I perform my job better because of the KRAs or the job description that is fed into it and all. The AI is not going to understand I'm having a bad day. The AI is not going to understand I'm having personal issues, and because of which also my performance could get affected. So while the capability is there, which AI would help, there is also a subtle part which comes into the picture is about the attitude of the person, and which is derived by the environment from where I come from, the people around me. Which part I think a human element is very much important, and that's where I think it can never become transactional. You will always need an individual. Otherwise, tomorrow we'll say we'll just have a person over there, right, to do all of those things. Like imagine, of course, some of the jobs could become transactional, where I'm going to the airport and the ticketing system or whatever, even I would say boarding and everything. But seeing that one person over there smile, welcome you, it makes a big difference. So that's where I think it cannot become transactional, because at the end of it, I look at HR as a people connect person.
Okay. And what about the impact? Because we have been talking about that what they should do, but we are not talking about how they should do. So, how should HR professionals evolve their skills in an AI driven environment?
I think by first of all understanding, very important, because I think everybody, and I think one of your question was also, am I going to lose my job? Is this going to replace me? So by first of all understanding, no, this is not going to happen. This is going to make me better. It's going to make me, improve myself. That's the first level. I think, again, coming back to what I said earlier, mindset shift. Okay, the readiness to explore, to understand. um, it's all about, did we think 10-15 years ago we would hand over to our children mobile phones and machines and all? We were I come from that generation that keep them away from all the digital assets and even screen away and all. But today, as a part of my school curriculum, I have to log on to the system, I have to lose certain aspects. So I think it's very important for us to understand that I have to change myself. Change is required continuously, and I have to learn and unlearn certain things also. It's not just about learning, but it's also about unlearning certain things. So, from that perspective, HR has to understand that skilling themselves to use these are like tools that I have, and I think day in and day out, these tools are improving. They're getting better. So. The whole objective is they're going to make me smarter, they're going to make my work better. And that's where that mindset shift, I think, again coming back to it, is key importance. And then of course working towards it to maybe learn on how these tools could be. And that's where skilling, which we talked about earlier also, from an organizational shift perspective, and we are seeing this across different industries today, where the entire mindset of the people is changing, where they're saying, you know what, even the frontline person, who's feet on the street, kind of in a retail industry, in the stores, how can I make that person smarter? So, give you an example, we work with some of the top retail brands in India, and if I look at, how agentic AI is shifting or changing some of these things, there's a new product launched. Again, I have the brochures, I have the hard material that I could go through and all of that. However, how much ever I've gone through, when a customer walks into a store, how do I gauge what the customer's needs are and ensure I'm prepared to actually suggest to them not only what they've come looking for. Maybe, I'm building a new house and I've come there looking for a fridge. Now you have that information that you're building a new house, you're decorating a new house. So I'm looking for a refrigerator, but there are 10 other things that I would be looking at. So how do I quickly gauge that and come? And that's where, agentic AI, we have literally these AI, bots who can help you, guide you in those aspects by providing you that just-in-time input while you're serving the customer. So these kind of aspects, now I need to know how I can use these to my advantage while sitting in front of the customer. Like, Just imagine yourself, you go to buy a car or you go to buy some of these equipment and it's a self-service mode. Are you going to be comfortable with it? Are you going to be okay with it? You would still need a human element to work with you, to address your needs. And sometimes, it's a feel good factor also, having somebody to guide you over there. So that's where I think people have to understand that they have to work with these tools to make things better, not only for themselves but for everybody around them also.
Yeah. So recently only, Asma, you reminded me of one of the sessions I've attended in AI Summit. We all were talking about, and the speaker was talking about that AI versus, human, and was taking a voting from everyone. And then, in the first shot, when he actually gave the access of Menti to everyone, it was, you can't even imagine. There were three options. One was only AI, one was only human, and one was AI plus human. And everybody in the hall, there were 500 people, and they voted about 85% or 90% of the people voted human plus AI. So then he was trying to influence the decision, and he took the voting twice or thrice for people to choose human only also, but then everybody was inclined towards human plus AI. So that was very fascinating to see that people are actually looking at the need of it.
Absolutely, and I think it's amazing, right? Like, I have an auntie who is almost close to 80, and I see her. She loves cooking, and I see her using some of the. Of course, she's still not reached the agentic AI stage, but of course, using AI very efficiently to recommend recipes based on certain ingredients that she has, certain I would say taste preferences that her family has. So at her age, at the age of 78, 79, to do something like this is commendable and to quickly pick up. So I think we've seen that mind shift across generations, and that's kind of commendable there.
Yes, I had some people of, I mean, I can't comment, but in 50s and 60s, behind me, they were discussing a lot. One was saying that no, only human, one was saying no, only AI. So yeah, the conversations were there, and I could I can admit people are changing, people are thinking about it, definitely. Yeah. So let's talk about, because of course AI is coming. We all sometimes, we all are using it thoroughly, and we feel that it is responsible. But at the same time, let's talk about the biases and ethics, because we are talking about human resource here, and of course that factor is always there. So agentic AI can take decisions autonomously. How do we ensure fairness and prevent biases in such systems? What do you think?
So there's an interesting thing. We've been working with one large automotive company today, and we are helping them train their service people. And when we first built the agentic AI role play for them, for their service people, the AI persona, which was supposed to act as a customer, was, the tone, pitch, everything was very sweet, very soft. And imagine, I've gone to servicing my vehicle. It's a 30-40 lakh vehicle, and the people have messed it up. And I'm coming and saying, oh, why did you mess it up? How? So they, that's where. And again, how technology is also moving forward over there. So when we first built the first versions and all of it, so the customer gets back to me, Asma, it's come out nice and it's giving me the options and all. But do you think a customer will be that nice if I'm messed up as 30 or? And I'm like, I completely agree. And that was the first feedback I gave my team also when I saw it. So the team went and improved it. Now they put it a little aggression. They made it a little demanding, and worked on the script and worked on the prompts and all that. Now, when my person said, I think, and there was a little glitch in the sense, there was too much noise around when the learner was interacting again in our trial runs with the AI persona, and he said, I'll give you 50% discount, and the persona heard 150%, and it still refused to accept it and all of that. So my team member comes and tells me, ma'am, we're giving it 50%, it assumed 150, it still refuses to listen to us now. Wow, what do we do? Because I think the aggression has gone to the next level. So, and that's where, a very important factor like comes into the picture is governance. It also, putting those guardrails and protocols into place. And it's as simple as that, right? We've always had this saying, when the cat is away, the mice are at play. In an organization, anywhere you look at home, when the parents are not there, children will party and so on. So even in this case, while AI is a very agentic AI is a very powerful tool, you have everything at your available. You also have to train it. You also have to guide it. And that's where I think it comes into the picture that while there is, you could reach 98% accuracy, there are still those, chances of it hallucinating. There are chances of it, going a little off track or giving. And that's where I think it all links together about having human in the loop. So when we've also built the role plays, we've also had it where human intervention is there, where they can look at it and they can, provide their feedback also. Also, I think it's about building the RAG model in such a way that it learns from the memory, it learns from the data that you've put in. And again, we come back to the most important factor is putting the right data into the system. So while, yes, I agree with you that 100% we can't, but we can still build, proper guardrails and prompts and everything to get it to a certain level where it's considerably reliable and you can focus on it. With, I would still add, and that's where I think, human touch cannot go, having that human intervention.
Yes, and what about when we talk about organizations and HR, what ethical boundaries should the organization define before deploying agentic AI in HR?
So, across the organization, if I look at it, I think again, ensuring that the organizational culture is very important. Today, anything for that matter, when you start deploying a technological intervention, I think it's important to see the readiness of the organization. And again, I'll come back to the way we work. We work more as a partner than a vendor with a lot of our customers. So we try and identify what level the organization maturity is from a skilling perspective. We look at, okay, do we actually have any technology that is being used? Is it being done manually? Because you have to work at every level. You have to work with sensitizing people, because the moment, like we said, right, AI is going to take my job. Similarly, if I get a system, there is always that fear that it's going to, take my job away, or it's going to reduce the dependency on me, and at the same time build that insecurity over there. So one is, understanding the culture of the organization, understanding the maturity and readiness of your people when you're implementing agentic AI across the organization, and going in phases, going in sensitizing and ensuring that you work with your people on the whole thing. Because, like I said, I think humans are the most important factors today. As I'm growing my organization, I think a big part of it is my team. Now, if I'm not going to work with the team, I'm not going to work with what actually helps them, rather creating in fear, that is not going to lead me to the ultimate success. So I think culture fit is one of the most important criteria. The level of adoption capability that you have in the organization, and maybe you might want to go in phases. Start with baby steps. Look at first starting with building those I would say evangelists within the organization. We call them, when we do skilling, we call them leaders, learning leaders, or people who will work for you as mascots to help build that culture within the organization. So first, take that whole focus group, run that with them, make them kind of ready to work with the rest of the organization to do something like this, and then you can proceed further in simple, I would say, step by step. So working with base level would be understanding what is your organizational readiness, and then maturely working. And all, of course, I think a big factor over there is the investment that you're ready to make. having a clear strategy and a clear vision where I want to go, how I want to achieve that, what kind of resources do I have from an organizational perspective. So these are some of the things which I would focus on. I'm not going on to the traditional, things that every organization, like the data security, and I think we all know about those. I'm going more from a practical perspective that I would look at.
Okay. And what about, because of course, like we're talking about HRs, we're talking about organization. Who should be accountable when AI-driven decisions impact employees negative?
I think like I said, it's a team effort. It cannot be an individual effort. So if they are impacting negatively, everybody is responsible. The entire organization is responsible, and that's where you create these cohorts. That's where you create these evangelists who can work together with it. So there first has to be created a self responsibility, a self awareness of what is required, how it's required. At the same time, maybe a mentor within the organization could be there who can guide you, who can work with you on this. Your managers could be your leaders, your superheroes in this scenario. And of course, at the organizational level, the entire leadership is responsible to ensure that they work with your current organization to build this and to make this a success.
But what if, Asman, because like in one of our friends, like when we were talking about recently, and of course, as I'm from HR, I talk to a lot of HRs, like, in the system, I don't name it, but yes, like, one of my friend, like, she was creating and developing and designing a program where, like, she was just asked from the leaders that you have to do it, but there were no guidelines, there were no superheroes, like, they were just testing and trying and, like, working on it. So do you think that the fear, like, when it comes from HR, that, okay, like, when they're creating something, they are not aware what kind of side effects it will have, or, it is going to impact them, or, it can discourage them to use it?
See, the risk of failures in anything and everything, right? Today, when I'm driving the car, I don't know what could happen at the next level. Does that mean I stop driving a car? So I would say, forget about the risks, think about the benefits, think about how you're going. And in fact, today it's much easier when I'm given a task. I think the best part of it is with AI, there is so much support. The other day I had to make a presentation. I was completely unprepared. I literally 15 minutes before the presentation, I just put the points and I said, okay, this is the template, can you create a PPT out of it? And it did. Of course, I had to run through, tweak it further. But imagine the kind of resources you have. So I don't think, that fear or something is there, because I think everybody understands that it's making your life easier. It's helping you on various aspects. So I honestly don't think so. At the end of it, I would say if that's still there, then I think from an organizational perspective, maybe if it's not there, you don't have a manager, you don't have a superhero, maybe it's time that as an organization, we build a community, we build a team which is available to people to help in various aspects. Like we have teams, right, for the POSH or for code of compliance or something like. Maybe we can have an AI, kind of an FAQ or an ethical team that is also available in the organization. Just kind of a spontaneous thought I'm coming up with. But I feel, with the tools today, with the perplexities and the GPTs and all, there's so much there which can actually, you can ask it anything and it'll help you and guide you on that. So as long as you can, take that information in the right spirit.
God is taking over the market like anything. So
Yeah,
I can't say much. Yes, so we've started our discussion with the future of work, HR, and let's end this thing with the same thing. Looking ahead, do you see agentic AI as a threat or enabler for HR future?
Okay. I would say definitely enabler. I'm not competing with AI on efficiency, because AI cannot compete with me in terms of judgment, empathy, and strategic, influence. So I definitely look at it as an enabler to take me to the next level.
I hope people are getting this message, and then they'll be more excited about it. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yes. So let's end this discussion that with one message to HR professionals who are worried about AI replacing them, and what would it be from your side?
So I think I've said a lot so far. And if I have to sum it in one line, I don't want to build a fear, but I think it's important for you to change with the times and to grow. Agentic AI is your guide, mentor, buddy, whatever you call it, and it's definitely going to help you improve and take you to the next level. So I would just look at it as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which is there to help you and guide.
That's great, Asma. So honestly, I had a great conversation, and I think these are the moments when we all connect each other with AI. You know, when we look at the topic where we have to write in tech, all over the place AI is, and nothing is left. So yes, it was a great conversation. It was a great, insightful conversation where I learned a lot. So thank you so much for coming in, joining us, at the People's Board. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking to you and looking forward to connecting again soon. Take care and have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Thanks.